Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Spoken English Podcast.
Sam, I want to start with a confession. Last weekend, my cousin visited from another city, and she asked me, "So, what's your daily life like these days?" And I panicked a little.
Why? That seems like such an easy question.
It does, but I realized I never actually describe my daily life out loud. I live it, but I never put it into words, especially not in English.
That's such an interesting point. We experience our routines every day, but we rarely practice talking about them.
Exactly. And when I tried to explain it, I kept saying, I wake up, I work, I sleep, like I was reading a robot schedule.
The classic robot summary of human existence.
Basically. And it made me think about how many English learners probably feel the exact same way. They know grammar, they know plenty of words, but describing daily, ordinary life still feels surprisingly hard.
Because daily life doesn't feel like a topic, it just feels like life.
Exactly. So today, we're turning that invisible, ordinary routine into something you can actually talk about naturally in English.
Real daily life, not textbook daily life.
Exactly that.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Spoken English Podcast, your friendly place to learn real, everyday English through natural conversation.
I'm Mira.
And I'm Sam, and today we're talking about daily life in English, your routines, your habits, the small things that make up an ordinary week.
Because this topic comes up constantly in casual chats, in interviews, even in small talk with neighbors. What's your daily life like? What does a typical day look like for you?
And a lot of learners either say too little or get stuck trying to describe everything in perfect detail.
This episode is great for A1 to B1 learners, so we'll keep the language simple, clear, and practical.
Later, we'll slow down for our word tour, useful words and phrases for describing daily routines.
And near the end, in Say It Better, we'll take some basic sentences and upgrade them so they sound more natural.
So let's get comfortable and talk about daily life.
Sam, let's start with mornings, since that's usually where a daily routine begins. What's a simple way to describe how your morning usually starts?
The easiest way is just describing things in order. I usually wake up around 6:30 and I start my day with a cup of tea.
I like that phrase, start my day with. It sounds so natural.
It really is useful. You can use it for almost anything. I start my day with some stretching, or I start my day by checking my messages.
What if someone's morning is more rushed, less relaxed?
Then you could say, my mornings are usually pretty hectic. Hectic means busy and a little chaotic in a stressful way.
Hectic. That word really captures that rushing feeling, trying to do 5 things at once.
Exactly. Socks in one hand, toast in the other.
Let's talk about the middle of the day now, work or study. How do people usually describe that part of daily life?
A common way is talking about your general schedule. On a typical day, I work from 9 to 5, or most days I have classes in the morning and study in the afternoon.
On a typical day. That's such a useful opening phrase for describing routines.
It really is, because it signals to the listener that you're about to describe something general, not just one specific day.
What about days that don't follow a fixed schedule, like freelancers or students with changing timetables?
For that, you could say, my schedule changes a lot depending on the day, or no 2 days really look the same for me.
I like that honesty. Not everyone has a perfectly fixed routine.
Exactly, and it's completely fine to describe that kind of flexible, unpredictable life too.
Let's talk about meals, since food is such a big part of daily life, almost everywhere. How can someone describe their eating habits naturally?
A simple way is I usually have lunch around 1, or I try to cook dinner most nights, but sometimes I just order food.
Order food. That phrase is so common now in daily conversations.
It really is, especially with how normal food delivery has become. Some days I'm too tired to cook, so I just order something.
What if someone eats very differently depending on whether it's a work day or a weekend?
Then you could say, on weekdays, I eat pretty quickly, but on weekends, I like to cook a proper meal. That word proper adds a nice contrast there, meaning a real, complete meal.
You could say, I usually grab something quick for lunch, or on weekends, I like to cook a proper meal.
Great examples for describing eating patterns.
Let's talk about commuting, because that's such a big daily experience for so many people, whether it's walking, driving, or taking public transport.
Definitely. A simple sentence is, it takes me about 20 minutes to get to work, or I usually walk to work. It's not too far.
What about people who have a long or frustrating commute?
They might say, my commute is honestly the worst part of my day, or traffic can be really unpredictable in the mornings.
Unpredictable. That's such a useful word for describing things that change constantly, like traffic or weather.
Exactly. It captures that feeling of never quite knowing what to expect.
You could say, my commute takes about half an hour, or traffic in the mornings is pretty unpredictable.
Let's pause here for a second. If you're enjoying this episode so far, please take a moment to like this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Spoken English Podcast.
And we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell us, what does a typical day look like for you? We really do read your comments, so don't be shy.
All right, let's continue. Mira, what about household chores? That's such a real, often unglamorous part of daily life that people rarely talk about in English lessons.
True, but it comes up all the time in real conversations. You could say, I try to tidy up a little every evening, or I usually do laundry on the weekends.
Tidy up. That phrase is so useful and much more natural than saying clean everything.
Exactly. It suggests small, manageable cleaning, not a huge, overwhelming task.
What if someone falls behind on chores, like most of us do sometimes?
Then you could say, I've been a bit behind on housework lately, or my apartment could really use a deep clean.
Could really use a deep clean. That sentence feels very relatable, honestly.
It really is. Most people have said that at some point.
Let's talk about free time now, because daily life isn't only about responsibilities, it's also about how people relax or enjoy themselves.
True. And a simple way to describe that is, in my free time, I like to read, or after work, I usually unwind by watching something.
We actually used that word unwind in a previous episode too, about peaceful days.
We did, and it fits perfectly here as well, because relaxing after a busy day is such a core part of daily life.
What about people whose free time changes a lot depending on their mood or energy?
They could say, some days I feel like being social, other days I just want to be alone. That honestly describes so many people's emotional rhythm.
You could say, in my free time, I like to read or watch movies. Or, some days I want company, other days I just want quiet.
Beautifully honest descriptions of everyday emotional life.
Let's talk about exercise or movement, since that's part of a lot of people's daily or weekly routine, even in small ways.
Definitely. You could say, I try to go for a walk every day, or I'm not very active during the week, but I try to move more on weekends.
Try to. That phrase feels very honest, showing effort without claiming perfection.
Exactly. It doesn't pretend you're perfectly disciplined, just that you're making an effort.
What if someone's daily life includes almost no exercise at all, and they feel a little guilty about it?
They could still describe it honestly. I know I should move more, but most of my day is spent sitting. That's such a real, relatable sentence for a lot of modern jobs.
You could say, I try to go for a short walk when I can, or most of my day is spent sitting at a desk.
Very true for so many people's daily reality.
Let's talk about something a little different now. Social interaction. How much people talk to others during a normal day varies so much.
It really does. Some people could say, I talk to a lot of people throughout the day, mostly at work. Others might say, my days are pretty quiet. I don't talk to many people.
Neither of those is better or worse, just different lifestyles.
Exactly. And it's important that English gives space for both without judgment.
What if someone works from home and misses regular social interaction?
They could say, working from home is convenient, but I do miss talking to people during the day. That's such an honest, specific detail.
You could say, I interact with a lot of people at work, or I miss talking to people since I started working from home.
Such useful, real-life sentences.
Let's talk about evenings again, but a little differently this time, specifically about how people wind down before bed.
Sure. A common phrase is, I try to relax a bit before bed, or I usually scroll on my phone for too long before sleeping.
Scroll on my phone for too long. I think that's basically a universal human experience now.
Honestly, yes. It's such a real modern daily habit, even if it's not always the healthiest one.
What if someone actually has a calming, intentional bedtime routine?
They could say, I try to avoid screens before bed and read instead. That shows intention, a conscious daily choice.
You could say, I usually scroll on my phone before bed, or I try to read instead of using screens at night.
Both very honest, very common daily patterns.
Let's talk about how daily life changes on weekends compared to weekdays. I feel like that contrast is really important for describing your overall routine.
Definitely. You could say, weekdays are pretty structured, but weekends are much more relaxed. Or, my weekends look completely different from my weekdays.
Structured versus relaxed. Those two words really capture that shift.
Exactly, and it helps the listener understand the rhythm of your whole week, not just one single day.
What if someone actually prefers their daily routine over the unstructured weekend?
That happens too. They could say, honestly, I prefer having a routine. Weekends can feel a little aimless to me. That's such a specific, relatable feeling.
Aimless. That word perfectly describes having no clear plan or direction.
It really does, and it's such a useful word for describing unstructured time.
You could say, my weekdays are pretty structured, or weekends can feel a little aimless without a plan.
Great examples showing structure isn't always negative and freedom isn't always relaxing for everyone.
Let's talk about small daily rituals now, tiny habits that might seem unimportant but actually shape someone's whole day.
Oh, I love this idea because these tiny habits often say a lot about a person. You could say, I always have my coffee before I check my phone, or I always listen to music while I get ready.
Those little rituals really do add personality to a routine description.
Exactly. Instead of just listing actions, you're showing your own small personal preferences.
What about rituals connected to comfort, like something someone does specifically to feel calm?
They could say, I always light a candle in the evening. It helps me relax. Or I have to make my bed every morning or my whole day feels off.
Or my whole day feels off. That's such a specific human detail.
It really is, and details like that make daily life descriptions feel personal, not generic.
Let's bring this all together, Mira. If someone remembers just one thing from today's episode, what should it be?
I think it's this. Daily life doesn't need to be exciting to be worth describing in English. Mornings, meals, chores, commutes, quiet evenings, all of it counts. And small, honest details make these descriptions feel real, not robotic.
So daily life English isn't about big events. It's about small, natural details.
Exactly. And once you have a few flexible phrases, describing your routine becomes so much easier, no matter how ordinary your day actually is.
All right, let's slow down now and go through today's word tour. Useful words and phrases for talking about daily life.
Let's begin with our first phrase, start my day with.
Start my day with. Start my day with.
This phrase describes the very first thing you usually do each morning.
You could say, I start my day with a cup of tea. Or, I start my day with some light stretching.
Nice examples. Let's move to our second word, hectic.
Hectic. Hectic.
Hectic describes something busy, rushed, and a little chaotic.
You could say, my mornings are usually pretty hectic. Or, today was a hectic day at work.
Our third phrase is on a typical day.
On a typical day. On a typical day.
This phrase is used when describing your general, usual routine, not one specific day.
For example, on a typical day, I work from 9 to 5. Or, on a typical day, I have breakfast around 8.
Our fourth word is unwind.
Unwind. Unwind.
To unwind means to relax after a busy or stressful period, especially in the evening.
You could say, I like to unwind by reading before bed. Or, after work, I usually unwind with some music.
Our fifth word is aimless.
Aimless. Aimless.
Aimless describes time without a clear plan or direction, sometimes relaxing, sometimes a bit uncomfortable.
For example, my weekends can feel a little aimless without a plan. Or, I had a completely aimless afternoon today.
And our final word today is unpredictable.
Unpredictable. Unpredictable.
Unpredictable describes something that changes often and is hard to expect in advance, like traffic or weather.
You could say, traffic in the mornings is pretty unpredictable. Or, my schedule is quite unpredictable these days.
So today's phrases were start my day with, hectic, on a typical day, unwind, aimless, and unpredictable.
Try picking just one or two of these and using them the next time someone asks about your daily life.
Now let's move to one of my favorite parts, say it better. We'll take a few simple sentences and make them sound smoother and more natural.
Let's start with this one. A learner might say, I wake up, I go work, I come home, I sleep.
That's clear, but very flat. A smoother way to say it is, I usually wake up early, head to work, and relax a bit before bed.
Much more natural. Here's another one. My morning is always fast and difficult.
We can smooth that into, my mornings are usually pretty hectic.
That flows so much better. Next sentence, my day always same, nothing different.
A more natural version would be, on a typical day, my routine is pretty similar.
I love that upgrade. It sounds much more mature. One more. Weekend, I do nothing. Feel bad.
You could smooth that out into, my weekends can feel a little aimless sometimes.
These small changes really do make a big difference in how natural your daily life descriptions sound.
Absolutely. It's not about using harder words. It's about choosing phrases that reflect real, honest daily rhythms.
So today, we talked about how to describe daily life in English. Mornings, work, meals, commuting, chores, free time, exercise, social interaction, evenings, weekends, and even small personal rituals.
And I hope this episode reminded you that your daily life, even the quiet, repetitive parts, is completely worth describing in natural English.
Maybe next time my aunt asks, I won't sound like a robot reading a schedule.
Progress one phrase at a time.
Exactly that. If this episode helped you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Spoken English Podcast so you never miss a new lesson.
And we genuinely love to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what does a typical day look like for you? Try using one of today's phrases.
Also, if you know someone learning English, please share this episode with them. Daily life is honestly one of the most useful topics to practice.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Take care of your English and take care of your everyday moments too.
This is Sam.
And this is Mira.
And you've been listening to Spoken English Podcast. Bye for now.
Take care, everyone. See you in the next episode.